Hey, what's up guys? This is TGS back again for another video. It is currently 4:30 a.m. in the morning and I just got done watching the Sony 2014 pre-Tokyo Game Show press conference. If you guys were unaware, Sony announced a couple of weeks ago that they were going to be holding a lot of PlayStation related events in the month of September leading up to the Tokyo Game Show towards the end of the month, and this was their first big one. This one basically debuted a lot of the stuff that's going to be debuting in Japan over the next couple months next year in regards to both the PlayStation Vita and the PlayStation 4. The conference just got done. It was a pretty lengthy press conference if I don't say so myself. In this video in particular, I'm not going to go over all of the major announcements that Sony announced for the Vita and the PS4 because number one, there were a lot of them. Number two, I couldn't understand half the stuff the translators were saying, and number three, Nugget is panting like crazy right now, so it might get distracted in the video, and number four, I am I guess kind of drunk right now. Anyway, so what I want to talk about this conference is the PlayStation 4 and how its overall reception has been in Japan. So for this conference in particular, I going into it, I kind of surmised that Sony would try to appeal to the Japanese market because they really haven't been doing that ever since the PlayStation 4 launched. As you guys know, whenever a new system comes out, a console manufacturer usually try to appeal to one region over another, whichever they feel is the stronger fan base. Usually, more often than not, with the Japanese manufacturers, they mainly go after Japan because that's their main home front. But in more recent years, we've seen publishers and developers gear more towards the Western audiences, like with Sony has in the PlayStation 4. However, their tremendous support towards indie developers and Western devs, their Sony Computer Entertainment America branch has been flourishing with all the devs on there. And really, most of the PlayStation 4 games that we've been seeing have been more Western focused. We've seen nothing but like stuff like Order 1886. We've seen games like Uncharted, etc., etc. We haven't really seen too much stuff in Japan. Now, granted, the system only did launch in Japan in February, so it really hasn't been given enough time for a lot of the Japanese devs to transfer over, especially considering a lot of Japanese developers, for the most part, are still well invested into handhelds and still very well invested into the PlayStation 3. So in this conference, honestly, to me, it felt like there really wasn't a lot of support from the Japanese developers as far as main game consoles, like the PlayStation 4 is concerned. We definitely saw a lot of Western support in terms of Order 1886, a lot of multiplats like Assassin's Creed Unity and Far Cry 4 from Ubisoft. So to a lot of people, it would seem like Western developers are taking over the forefront of gaming right now, which a lot of people may argue that's true. However, I just think that the PS4 hasn't really taken off in Japan. No real 8th generation console has really taken off in Japan to the point where it's like the PlayStation 2. Even the PlayStation 3 really didn't take off in Japan until quite some time after its inception. So for a lot of people saying that it was more of a Western focused theme, I guess it makes sense, but then again, you got to realize that a lot of these Western devs are crossing over into Japan for the very first time, or they're making repeated attempts to try and get their product popular over there in Japan. So, you know, if we have to see some Western games in conferences to try to appeal to the Japanese market, so be it, because they're trying to have a bigger global impact on their product, you know, so that makes sense. And in time, you guys know that Japanese developers are going to hop on board to a Sony platform or Nintendo home console at some point. More often than not, it's going to be the Sony system, but come on guys, you know how history works, so they're going to show up on PS4 eventually. But we did see a lot of Japanese support on the PlayStation 4 in terms of stuff we've seen like Sega with Yakuza 0. We saw a lot of Musou games. That was the one main theme from the show. We saw a crap ton of Musou games out the ass. And one thing I was very surprised about was to see a lot of Vita love. Yes, as you guys know, PlayStation Vita has not been getting any love from Sony for the past couple of months, especially over here in the West. I mean, I love my PlayStation Vita. I think it's a fantastic system. It's got a great lineup of games. However, when I say to people, if you want to buy a Vita, there is no main game for you to buy the system for. It just has games available on the system to play. Like, for example, it does not have that X Factor, it does not have that Halo, it does not have that Uncharted, it does not have that Super Mario World. It just doesn't. It's got great games like Persona 4 Golden and Danganronpa and games here and there, but there's just no X Factor to have you to own the system. If you buy the system, you've got games, but there's no must-have title to reach out to the masses. However, we did see a lot of Japanese support in the press conferences. A lot of Japanese support was there. A lot of cross-play titles between PS4 and PS Vita, and I'm definitely glad to see that PS Vita is getting a lot of support. It's very diverse in the genres that they're releasing games for, so I'm glad to see that. However, it does bring into the question, are any of these games ever going to be released in the States? That brings up another issue entirely. And yes, I know I'm an American viewer watching a Japanese press conference, so why in the world would I get pissy that some of these games don't come over here? I understand that. I think we all understand that, but let's move on. The Vita is getting love in Japan from Sony and a lot of developers, and I'm glad to see that. I really am, as a PlayStation Vita owner. And I think that was basically it as far as a lot of people were talking about in terms of complaints. Like, we haven't seen a lot of Japanese support from the PS4, and we haven't seen a lot of Western support for the PlayStation Vita. And I think everyone pretty much knows the reasons why. However, we did get some new software updates for both PlayStation 4 and Vita. PlayStation Vita and I believe PlayStation 4 are both getting themes, custom themes. I think PlayStation 4 is getting dynamic themes going forward. So that is really cool. That is freaking awesome. As much as I love the PS4, it's very bland in its design and intricacies. I really do wish you can customize it more. Now, let's move on to some of the notable announcements I thought that were freaking fantastic, and I'm surprised that I'm 6 minutes into this video and I'm still kind of coherent in my talking because I've knocked back a couple of brewskis. So, there were 3 major announcements that I want to point particular interest. 3 to 4, actually, if I remember correctly. First and foremost, it looked like Disgaea is coming to PlayStation 4. If you guys had seen the little sizzle reel that they were doing, they did a lot of sizzle reels of games that were coming to PS4 that they didn't really talk about much. But Disgaea 5 is coming to PlayStation 4. That is freaking awesome. Now, I'm not a major fan of Disgaea. I do own 2 games in the series, Disgaea 4, and my good friend Dante86 actually gifted me his copy of, if I can pull it out right here, Disgaea DS. This is a remake of the original game that was on PlayStation 2, and I freaking love the series from what I've played. I played a little bit of this one and a little bit of Disgaea 4, and it's a fantastic series. I want to pick up Disgaea 3. They did a port of that on the PlayStation Vita, so that I really hope to pick that up soon. And from what I've seen, it does look like it's a Disgaea series, a Disgaea game. So that's freaking awesome if it does end up being Disgaea 5 for PS4. And the second game on the list is Ys. A brand new Ys game is coming to both PS4 and PS Vita. Y'all know I'm a huge Ys fan. I own almost every game that has been released stateside, legally. I rebought the games on PC. I own Ys Memories of Celceta, whatever you want to pronounce it, on the PlayStation Vita. And this new game's coming to the PS4 and Vita. I'm awesome. Falcom, I love you guys. Rep you till the day I die. But the biggest announcement of all, a game series, a franchise, a developer, a publisher that I hold very near and dear to my heart, Atlas and Persona 5. Persona 5, a game that really a lot of us have been kind of worried about for the past couple of months because we've heard nothing about it. Persona 5 was announced last year in November of 2013. To gamers' delight, Persona 5 was coming to the PlayStation 3. Everybody was excited. But since then, we've heard nothing about the game other than that it's progressing smoothly. Really, that really doesn't give a lot of people too much hope. So a lot of people were thinking that it was going to get delayed because if the game was supposed to come out this winter and it was already September at the time of this recording, how in the world would they get by on releasing this game without any advertising, no gameplay, no anything whatsoever? But in this conference, they revealed that Persona 5 will not only be releasing in 2015, we all saw that coming, but it's going to be releasing on both PS3 and PS4. And that was freaking awesome. I love the Persona series. I'm glad that they're doing this whole cross-gen thing. I know a lot of people aren't too big a fan of cross-gen games between PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One. But I think for the Japanese developers, this is going to be the only way for them to really transition into doing proper next generation games, because when they see where the demand is in the market, when they see what better way to utilize these tools while still making money off of the PS3 version, in some facet, in some way, shape, or form, they're going to realize that, you know what, maybe we got to go ahead and do these next gen versions. Maybe we got to put more assets in there, as opposed to going, you know, balls to the walls, developing a next gen version where they realize, hey, maybe we could have made more money by doing a last gen version. You know, it's one of those weird things where they have to kind of, you know, tippy toe around it, and they have to ease into the next generation development, or current generation development. I'm sorry. So it was awesome. We got to look at the main protagonist for the first time, and I cannot wait. As a very big Persona fan, I'm excited for 2015. I cannot wait for this game to come out, and I'm freaking stoked that it's coming out on PS4. Hopefully a PS Vita version is in the works at some point. I know they're probably going to work on that considering Atlas and their handhelds. So I'm freaking excited about that. And those are my main three big happy moments from the entire show. We also got some cool stuff like Biohazard or Resident Evil Revelations 2. That game is getting a sequel, so that's freaking cool. We got a lot of things here and there, from Muso games to the new Dragon Quest game, which honestly, the limited edition PS4 they're having for the game has me more excited than the actual game itself being a Muso title. Either way, freaking Togashi's not going to be working on Hunter x Hunter for a couple of years now, considering the fact that this dude's going to be playing a freaking Muso Dragon Quest game. Like, what the hell is going on, man? But overall, I think this conference was pretty decent. As a person who's a fan of PlayStation and games in general, I think it was good. However, I do have to mention the fact that probably a lot of these games aren't going to be coming stateside, aren't going to be coming to Europe, considering the track record of developers and market and a lot of business related inquiries and problems and stuff. But I have been seeing a lot more of a push for localizations of games, and I could just sneezed. Especially from the guys like Xseed and, you know, Atlas, NIS America, etc., etc. So at some point, most of these games might come over if there's enough fan support and demand. So, you know, hit up your local game publishers and tell them, hey, we want these games. We want these games. Make sure they're not a Sega, and don't localize all the great Yakuza games. But anyway, guys, what did you think of this press conference? Overall, I thought it was pretty decent as a fan of PlayStation stuff, outside of the spotty translations and, you know, just not really much of a focus on Japanese games that were expected on the PS4. But like I said, these games are going to be coming soon enough, considering Japan. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they're ever not going to develop for the system. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching this video. I'm going to be doing a wrap-up on TGS when that happens in a couple of weeks, where we all damn better see Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy 15, because if not, oh, Square, oh my god, prepare for rage that day, but they probably will show it. They know better than that. And I'll catch you guys later. Peace.